Let's now talk about some of the processes which may be involved in creative writing. There may be 8 popular processes which are usually involved in writing creatively. We begin with preparing. Preparing involves the initial stage where we actually decide what to do. It asks the basic questions and involves activities like active reading, imitation, research, play, and reflection. All these conscious level activities are involved at this stage because the writer creatively decides to do something. And he may ask some questions to himself at this stage. For example, what am I preparing for? And how shall I do this? These are the basic questions which would help him prepare to write creatively. Planning is the next stage, and planning involves the research for writing creatively, as well as it may also involve some kind of pre-meditation into the process of writing. For instance, a creative writer of non-fiction may start with by choosing a subject, and then he could research further about the history and other details of that subject, and he may conduct interviews or go for internet or archive researches in order to find all relevant details about their subject. Incubation is the next stage. This may overlap with preparation and planning stage. And in evolution stage, we see that dreams, daydreams, unconsciousness, and other things may be very helpful. And incubation may create some incoming waves of the subconsciousness, which may be very healthy, very supportive in the coming stages of writing creatively. Beginning, we all know that beginning to write is one of the most difficult stages. You write anything, but this turns out to be one of the difficult stages of writing when you actually decide to put things on the paper. So at this stage, it is usually advised in creative writing that you start writing with some random sentences. You may not be writing in a pre-arranged way, but just start writing, and things would start improving as you gather your thoughts and ideas, and you start putting them on the paper. You can begin by some free writing and free associating sentences until some patterns emerge in your writing. It may be seen as a journey of gambles where you commit some mistakes and then you correct them and come back. Roughly speaking, this may be seen as some kind of shaping, then reconfiguring, and then stepping back, inking in, and then beginning over again. So all these things, true and fourth movement, all these things are involved at this stage. So beginning seems to be a very difficult stage in writing creatively, but you have to do it anyhow. So start with anything that comes to your mind and with any pattern that seems you fit at that moment. The normal pattern of writing would emerge later on. Flowing, write freely and as rapidly as possible. So this is which is one of the important stages of writing creatively. And when you start writing freely and throw the whole thing down on the paper, later on things, as I said earlier, start improving. Never correct or rewrite until the whole thing is down on the paper. So you just keep on writing in a flow, bring in some fluency, and things would start correcting later on. The silence reservoir is also an important factor and a key factor in the process of creative writing. A good creative writer has to resort back to this reservoir, which is of some important ideas in his mind already stored there. And it is a journey to the unconsciousness as well. It consists of the reservoir of language and ideas within your unconsciousness, which you can always refer to. Fluency sometimes slows down because of some excessive exercise or writing. You can always calm down, sit back, go for a walk, and think again about the ideas you are writing about. And the language and the ideas which are already there in your unconscious would come to rescue you, would come to help you in writing more creatively. So this silence reservoir is a key factor, and a good creative writer always goes back to this silence reservoir in order to write more effectively. Then we have breakthroughs and finish lines. After giving sufficient fluency through practice, a good creative writer gets some breakthroughs and leaps while writing on any particular subject, and then he reaches to the finishing lines. When one finishes a good piece of writing, title becomes an important element to be considered. A good creative writer is always cautious about the choice of the topic, because this is something his or her reader would peep into the details of the whole subject he is writing about. So creative writers should be very cautious while selecting their topics or titles for the pieces they have written already.